Yo, what's up? Another episode of the Grappling Bulletin podcast. It's myself, Hal Teague, and Chase Smith. Yes, we're wearing matching t-shirts. It was an accident. It's not going to happen again. We will coordinate our outfits better next time.
No comment on that.
No comment on that. Corey Smith in the back. Screw call me Stockton. I'll just call you whatever I feel like today. You're going to be called Bill. I'm going to be called Bob. Corey at the back. Are you wearing the same t-shirt as us today or no?
The colors line up nicely.
Oh, they kind of do, actually. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, okay. Anyway, it's a little bit of a fashion. We should build that
sherbet vibe going hard in here today.
It's that kind of Monday.
Rainbow sherbet's delicious.
Rainbow indeed. Rainbow colors. Shall we just get into the jiu-jitsu stuff? That's enough fashion talk for now, right?
Probably
All right.
The most you'll ever hear from us, yeah.
There we go. Man, slow news weekend, I feel. Not a lot kind of happening in the jiu-jitsu world right now. We do have some events to break down. We'll be talking about those in a minute. But, you know, things are kind of gearing up for who's number one, right? It's around the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're just coming off of the weekend previous to this with World Pro going down and Grand Slam and a bunch of other events. So this was a little bit of a lull in the action, but we did have some notable results we'll get to, like you said. But who's number one is around the corner.
It is around the corner.
I just got back from Oklahoma City where I was shooting with Rafael Lovato Jr.
Ooh, how'd that go?
It was awesome. You know, Rafael's a man, and I'd never had a chance to go see his gym.
It was pretty new, right?
It is, but I hadn't even been to Oklahoma City before, and it's huge. The gym is massive. 2 big mat spaces and awesome sprung floor, you know, perfect amenities, but the people there are really cool. Really, really great vibe. Hard training for sure.
Did you get a roll there?
I did. I snuck in for a couple of rounds. You know, the first night we just filmed all night, and the next day I popped in there when I felt we had captured what we needed, got like 4 or 5 rounds in, and then walked off the mat and actually, just by chance, got to interview Rafael Lovato Sr., who was in town. He just got back from, I think, Kansas City. So that was really cool. I've seen so much of him, you know, online and other videos and stuff like that, but to meet him and have a chance to chat was awesome. But the footage is great. You guys get some training footage coming out. We get a nice hour-and-a-half long interview with Lovato that we'll get the best bits from and all that stuff. But it was fun trip.
Awesome. Of course, Lovato Jr. is going to be competing against Durinho, who's number one, on April 30th. I'm really excited for that match because it's that a classic sort of battle of 2 really high-level grapplers, but with a twist, because they also have this parallel MMA career, right? You know, obviously Gilbert was the title challenger in the UFC, and Lovato Jr. captured the middleweight title in Bellator, and of course now, you know, the sort of things have come full circle. They've brought them back into the grappling world. They've gone back to their roots, and they're facing off on who's number one. I'm super excited for it. Corey, what do you think of this match?
No, I think it's a great matchup, and you know, we've seen so much of them in the MMA circuit. Obviously, Lovato's been coming back and doing some jiu-jitsu for the last year or so, but it's a great chance to see maybe how much MMA and training for MMA changes somebody's jiu-jitsu, or how much they're looking to just get back to pure jiu-jitsu. So I'm interested to see if the styles change, or if we get to see good old-fashioned jiu-jitsu the way we've always expected it from these two.
Wow, I'm looking forward to it. I think it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. And you guys should be on the lookout for some of the interviews that we're going to put out from these guys, because Lovato does talk a lot about how competing extensively MMA has influenced his grappling, the differences between MMA, jiu-jitsu, and just straight pure grappling, and those challenges that come from that. So all those questions may or may not be answered, Corey.
Well, there's a big question. There's a big question kind of on our minds at the moment, because we've been working really, really hard to try and secure Gordon Ryan a match on upcoming Who's Number One events. Of course, April 30th, main event's going to be Craig Jones versus Tyro Tolo. Super excited for that one, right? That's an awesome match. But Gordon, well, he's been on the last couple of Who's Number Ones, and with Gordon, it's a whole nother level, right? But it's a very short list of people willing to take on Gordon, and it's become a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, you know, it's definitely come up. We've referenced this before, and I feel like the people at home may be rolling their eyes a little bit, saying, "Oh, how hard could it really be?" But it's truly a challenge, because Gordon is at the top of the heap right now, top of the rankings, winning everything, and it's kind of more than just a match. It's an all-out psychological battle as well. You know, a match with Gordon is taxing for weeks, not just that one day. Of course, we're talking the physicality of a camp, but the mental warfare, the online games that Gordon will play.
That's his
his
style.
his fans as well. They are definitely part of his regiment, right? And they support him fervently. So I could see why people might be apprehensive to take a match with Gordon.
Well, here's a good point, actually. There's a great comment in our chat right now, the YouTube live chat. Jason Frederickson says something really, really cool. It says that, Gordon, yes, he is outspoken, but if you follow his matches, he actually is very sportsmanlike. He has great sportsmanship in his matches, He never tries to purposely injure anybody, He doesn't do anything untoward, never even tests the limits of the rules, just goes out there. And the real fear of people going up against him, the real problem is his technique. Because he's that good. That's the issue, He is the number one pound-for-pound ranked grappler in the world for a reason. He's cleared out everybody who's been in front of him. He's submitted his last 3 opponents, and 2 of those times as well, calling the submission before he even steps on the mat, saying, I am going to finish it with this method, and then going out there and doing it. But for me, I'm a little bit confused as to why people aren't lining up to take on Gordon. And the truth is that the top challengers, the top ranked grapplers are coming up with excuses. They're coming up with reasons as, I'm not ready. Yeah, I just need a little bit more time. I kind of want to do something else right now. I'll take on Gordon later. Because, it seems pretty obvious to me that they feel like they hope the chances just don't exist, that they feel like they're going there to lose, they're not going there to win. There's a very short list of people who are willing to take on Gordon with the real belief that they can take him on and beat him. But the curious thing from all of this is that we call these people up. We're like, hey, do you want a match of Gordon? And they're like, yeah, not really. But I'd like a match of Craig Jones instead. What do you think about that, Corey?
Do you think part of it is that, Craig may beat you and he may drag you into, his game and beat you with his game. Gordon, if he's going to beat you, is going to flex on you. He's going to show that he could beat you with the leg lock and then come to top and show that he could have passed your guard this way and then passed your guard that way. Gordon will not just beat you, he'll demoralize you for 20 minutes.
Well, I've said this in the past as well, that Gordon's matches have now become literally an advert for his technique DVDs, right? He's using his matches as literally, this is my jiu-jitsu technique in action. Learn how to do it. Go buy my DVD on BJJ Fanatics. This is a perfect example. He's not going out there. That's how difficult it is for people to be competitive against him.
Yeah, there's no denying that Gordon is extremely efficient, and you're kind of witnessing history here. It's someone that's that dominant, that confident, and successful at doing these things. But let's also not forget, Craig Jones does not quite have the same record as Gordon. There is a blueprint, maybe not the most fan-friendly blueprint, but a way to beat him, or there used to be. Obviously, Craig's evolved as an athlete, but what I'm talking about here is playing on the outside, playing the perimeters, disengaging, getting out of danger.
It's easier to shut down Craig than it is to shut down Gordon.
Right, and people have done it successfully. We're really, for a very long time now, no one's shut down Gordon. Gordon has always found a way to get to his game and a multiplicity of games, right? Whatever he wants, he's getting. So that has to be kind of alarming if you're looking at potential matches.
It is hilarious to me, though, that they see Craig as an easier match, because let's look at the stats quickly. Since 2019 ADCC, since the 88 kilogram final against Mateus Diniz, where he lost on points, Craig Jones has only lost twice. Both times to Mason Fowler, both times in EBI rules overtime at Submission Underground. Of his last 13 matches, he's finished 9 of them by submission. And he has an 83% career finishing rate. Craig is not an easy opponent.
No.
He is really good at jiu-jitsu. But people, like we said, are like looking at him as like, wow, I'm going to get my ass whooped by Gordon, but Craig's a better match for me. It's wild for me. It really is. It's wild. But I got to say, though, I hope that those people who are eyeing Craig as an alternative match are doing so with the idea of it's like a video game boss. If I can beat Craig, then I can go on and I can face Gordon. Maybe that's the logic. Maybe they think that Craig is like a test run of going up against Gordon, because we know they train in the same gym, the same room, same coach in John Danaher. They've got the similar systems. Yeah, the styles are definitely different. We can analyze the techniques that they use, but maybe they think, all right, like Craig is like the warm-up for Gordon.
Yeah, I mean,
he's the fluffer, so to speak.
Oh my God. Yeah, wow, it just blew my mind right there. So I don't think that would be. I don't think anyone's viewing Craig as an easy match, right? Like it's been established that Craig is elite, very dangerous. But I do think he's a little less intimidating, and it is a great storyline from a marketing perspective. Is I beat Craig, now I'm calling out Gordon. I mean, that would be incredible, because Gordon would take the match, because Gordon is desperate for matches. He wants to fight anybody. So I think he would love to take on someone that had taken out Craig if that should happen. So who knows? I don't hate it. I think I can see why Gordon is frustrated and why Craig might be a bit miffed if he hears about this. If he hears that someone turned down a match with Gordon, but they want him. I don't know how that. If he's like, well, screw you, like I'm
second place energy right there.
Yeah, exactly. Second place energy. So, in any case, it's an interesting dilemma, but Gordon is just very good, and I don't blame people for maybe wanting to work their way up to that.
And before the jiu-jitsu community as a whole thinks that we're throwing every single top-ranked black belt under the bus here, we're not, because we actually have some really cool stuff in the works. We actually have some pretty fantastic matches in the works that could be just around the corner. They're not that far away. And yes, we do know of a very short list of people who can take on Gordon Ryan and will take on Gordon Ryan. Those names will become clear soon.
There's a teaser for you.
Stay tuned. All right, let's move on, shall we, to results and recap. Chase, you were at Fight to Win last weekend.
Yeah, Fight to Win 170 went down in Dallas, so I drove up there. We had Josh Hinger take on Formiga in the main event for the Black Belt Masters middleweight gi title. Have a quick highlight here. Tough match, very gritty. Of course, Hinger had met Formiga for the first time ever at Masters Worlds 4 months earlier, where he took the win. Said he learned some things there, and he took that knowledge to Fight to Win, where you can see from this clip, he really wanted to just pressure Formiga, shut him down with relentless top game.
Man, he didn't let up.
He didn't. And you can see, except for this moment here, Formiga's shoulders were basically pinned to the mat the whole time. He did not want to give him any opportunity for the awesome butterfly guard that he has to get into work.
Man, it was a really interesting passing style from Hinger, because he just ignored Formiga's butterfly hooks. And Formiga has got that incredible butterfly guard game. He went headhunting, right? Because he was constantly, you can see here, just constantly threatening for that chin strap guillotine that he does so well, the guillotine, and using it to pass, because the threat is so great that he was able to just bypass the legs, go straight to the upper body, get that chest control, pin the shoulders to the mat, like you said, and then use that to just walk straight into the mount. It's really impressive.
Yeah, very, very technical bout. I really liked how Josh would wait for the right moment to cut the angle and get the knee cut to maybe get through. But even we have an interview on the site. Josh was really impressed with Formiga's ability to resist the pass when he had a deep underhook or a chin strap, and really the only thing holding on the half guard were just a little grip on the foot, almost a quarter guard. But Formiga held strong for most of that match. If you watch the whole thing, you'll see there's a lot of the same pattern going on, where Josh may pass, Formiga will get the guard right back, and then he'll just keep pressuring, and kind of goes back and forth. But smart move from Josh to really not allow any offense at all from Formiga, just by keeping that pressure on him. And the chin strap was very, very dominant as well for him.
Yeah. What do you think about that strategy, Corey? The way that Hinger was using that threat of the upper body attack to just pass the guard?
I think stylistically, this had to be just a great match for Hinger's passing style, given that we know how good Formiga's butterfly game is. But because Hinger likes to attack the upper body and the chin straps, gave him an opportunity to pass over the top. And that's one of the better ways to counter a butterfly guard, is just to go over the top and essentially ignore it. So the chin strap gave him kind of the key to victory there. It worked well the first time they met back in December, and that seems to be the right style to beat somebody who's got such a tough guard like Formiga.
Were you there for that match in December? Did you see that one?
I was. I can't recall it offhand. I know Hinger won. I think it was a similar style too. Very heavy passing. I think at some point Hinger took or tried to take Formiga's back, but I don't have the clear picture. I think it was a semifinal though.
Cool. Good to see Josh back in the gi as well. You know, he did Masters Worlds, but I think that's his first fight to win match in the gi, right?
It was.
Wow.
And I mentioned, you know, he brought it up himself, but I asked him as well, you know, are we going to see him do more Masters matches? Because it was a Masters title. And he said it wasn't really a planned event of his. He was actually going to try and maybe face Mateus Luna, of course, a much younger black belt. But Seth from Fight to Win brought it to his attention. Hey, Formiga's available. It'd be a fun match. So he's went for it. So Josh is definitely not committing to Masters competition just yet. He's just taking fun matches. So I hope we see him again at Fight to Win and more active in general.
I like it. What else was on the show?
So another really great match. We had Jimenez Gracie versus Mateus Luna. That match was the one that ended up getting made. Really a barn burner match. A lot of action from both athletes.
We got a highlight for this one
We
too?
do have a highlight we could run here. Jimenez, you'll see right now in the blue gi. Definitely has these grips from hell, and this overhead sweep is really badass. But in general, high pace, right? And sometimes the gi can get slowed down, but there was a ton of action throughout this match.
Man, Edwin Najmi said that Donatus's grips are just insane.
Yeah, I remember that actually. Yeah. They fought a Fight to Win as well. There's a key moment coming up right after this really cool sweep attempt here from Jimenez where he tries to wrestle up on a single leg and Mateus jumps on a flying triangle. This kind of set up the most important sequence of the match right here. See Jimenez kind of go in there. Boom. Right in on that triangle.
Oh, that was so nicely timed. Oh, man, I love that counter.
But you can see Jonathan's head is a little shallow. He's going to peek out the back here. And watch this armbar coming up. No hesitation. Just, okay, I'll take that.
Oh, beautiful, man. I love it.
And he doesn't get the finish, but it was fully extended. And they reset here in the middle. The match slowed down a little bit from there. And it's hard to see from this angle. But this armbar that comes on, this lasso armbar.
It was pretty dangerous,
This is
actually.
tight. This is tight. You can see it fully extend for just a moment there. Jonathan said in his post-event interview that he definitely felt it hyperextend a little bit. But both guys were hanging out after the match, chatting away. I think they might even got dinner together, all three.
Oh, nice.
And so it was cool to see the sportsmanship and camaraderie between these guys. They fought a million times. I think John just said that between Mateus and Matthias, the two brothers, they have had 8 matches or something like that. So they know each other well. But
man, do you see everybody commenting on Mateus's Kobe gi as well?
Yeah, people were loving that thing. It was cool. It looked great. It was badass gi.
Oh, man, that's a great match. That's a lot of fun. Of course, if you want to watch the full matches, just head on over to FloGrappling, and they're right there. There was also a heavyweight title match, if I'm not mistaken. And we actually wanted to pull this one out because Max Jimenez, the big man from GF Team, the black belt, the ultra heavyweight, we're going to give him performance of the week from this because it was a very dominant performance, right?
Yeah, he looked amazing.
Let's play the videos to talk about this because this one's a little longer. There's Max, big man. He's like probably 6'2", 6'3", probably about 270 pounds, if not more. He's a big dude, right?
Yeah, but he looked phenomenal in this matchup here. We had Guillermo Augusto from Alliance.
Who is super tough.
Also super tough, who's currently on top. They're both in black gis, but gi is on top. But Max demonstrated both a really clever guard. Here we have a little squid guard action. Nice to see some creativity in the heavier weight classes, but then once he got on top, his passing game was also really
GF Team style,
really crisp. Put the pressure on.
Is what they're known for. But it's interesting to see an ultra heavyweight playing this kind of lapel game. It's cool the way he started off with squid, kind of like a lapella plata style, and then he actually catches the arm in the omoplata, kind of in that transition. Corey, you're a pretty big student of guys using lapel tricks and stuff in jiu-jitsu. How often can you think of seeing guys in the super heavyweight and ultra heavyweight division using this stuff?
Man, I can't think of any offhand,
right?
Except for I can't think of any.
It's really uncommon. It's cool. I really like it.
Tex is a great K guard, but he's not so much doing the lapel trickery.
What I'm saying, Keenan of course competes heavy and super heavy sometimes as well, but Max is next level heavy.
The Muniz brothers both use the lapel guard pretty frequently.
Oh, that's a great point. They're doing super heavyweight. Yeah, you're right. Anderson and Eric Muniz are definitely on the cutting edge of that lapel.
But
stuff
here, look
as
at
well.
this passing sequence from Max. I mean, made it look easy, to be honest. Just really heavy now, and Guy's trying to turtle, avoid getting fully passed. But
one of the other
pressure.
reasons is a lot of pressure, and one of the other reasons that I wanted to kind of highlight this as performances of the week, because I feel that sometimes the heavyweights, they get a little overlooked, especially by the kind of the flashier techniques that the smaller guys can sometimes use. Like lightweight, middleweight, middle heavyweight. These guys have got a combination of size and athleticism that allows them to generally pull off moves that the bigger guys won't. But it doesn't mean that the bigger guy's jiu-jitsu is any less as a result. And of course, there are a lot of other big people out there who practice jiu-jitsu. And I feel like highlighting this as performance of the week and showing Max using a great guard game, using really effective passing, using wrestling defense here, you can see, I kind of feel like it's hopefully some inspiration for those bigger guys as well, to kind of, look at the techniques that he's using and to help them refine their jiu-jitsu. Because you can learn a lot from watching that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely an inspiring match, and I personally liked how the action was steady throughout. I mean, sometimes in any professional match, guys get tired and slow down, but you could definitely say that's more common in the heavier weight classes where there's maybe a little bit of a lull at the end. Not in this case at all. Max putting the pressure on there to the very last second. You can see him almost pass the guard again. So very dominant win for him. No question there on that decision. And now he's a new fight to win title holder.
Yeah, well deserved, man. It was a great performance against a very tough opponent. Very, very cool. So there's also some action going down in Houston as well, right? We've pulled this up as here, the IBJJF Houston Open. We don't have any videos from this one, except a little clip that we're going to play in a bit. But there were some notable results from this event. Corey, you went down. You kept an eye on the action. What stood out to you?
Yeah, I was keeping my eye on some of the mats. I think we always have to lead with the two guys from AOJ, Jonathan Alves and Tynan Dalpera, both looked phenomenal.
Cleaning up.
And one thing to note, Tynan also won the open weight category. In one of his open weight matches, he racked up 72 unanswered points.
72-0 in a 10-minute match against a heavyweight, right?
That's right. So what he scored in a minute, most people don't score in an entire 10-minute match.
Well, he scored in a match most people don't score in a year. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah. It's an average of 7.2 points per minute over a 10-minute match. Wow, incredible. But man, yeah, Tynan Dalpera, he won the middleweight gold, and Jonathan Alves took the lightweight, and then they closed out the absolute division as well. So those guys from AOJ just clearing up. What else stood out to you from the results in the Houston? Because they had Gi and no Gi, right?
On Sunday we saw the return of Stanley Rosa, who made one of his first no Gi appearances ever in the Dallas Open when they introduced the heel hook game.
Hang on, Stanley Rosa, who goes down in history books as being the first person to ever score a heel hook under the new IBJJF no-gi rules. Right.
The same Stanley Rosa.
That's Stanley Rosa.
He's back. He won yet another division. So clearly, the introduction of the leg locks is creating some changes in the no-gi scene. We can see Ray De Leon won his division. Oliver Taza, of course, won the middleweight division. So some of the more prominent leg lockers and no-gi enthusiasts that might not otherwise be in the IBJJF scene coming out in force.
Nice. That's really cool to see. I definitely like seeing some different names, different faces, mixing things up a bit. You did see some cool results as well, like Diego Ramalho of ZR Team. Obviously, he's a well-known veteran. He went up to super heavyweight and won gold in the no-gi division.
Diego likes to do that. I feel like he does. He ends up in the super heavyweight quite a bit these days. But
nice to test himself about stuff like that. Double gold actually went to Bruno Matias of Gracie Baja. He won the heavyweight division and the absolute division, beating Oliver Taza in the absolute final. Bruno Matias is another one of those amazing Gracie Baja competitors from Texas who you absolutely have to keep an eye on. If I'm not mistaken, he's a relatively fresh black belt. I believe he could actually still be in his rookie year, but along with the likes of Pedro Mourinho and Jordan Weissman and many other great competitors based here in Texas, man, the Gracie Baja squad are legit. Those guys are doing really well.
Yeah, it's a scary team out there. A couple of results that stood out to me as well. We had Richard Nogueira beat Joshua Cisneros there in the featherweight final.
That was in the gi, right?
That's in the gi. Of course, we've been hearing a lot about Cisneros lately on our channel. He's been winning a lot, and so for Richard to take him out like that is pretty exciting. Richard's super legit, also based out of San Antonio. And then we had Jessie Crane won her division. She's competing at Who's Number One, right? Against
Yes, she is.
Lauren Sears, I believe. Let me make sure. Yeah, Lauren Sears. And just want to highlight that. Of course, they're on the preliminary undercard for Who's Number One. Their match will be free on YouTube and I think Facebook a couple weeks here, less than 2 weeks. So shout out to Jessie Crane. Looking forward to seeing her in action at that show.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Man, I do want to highlight this one move though. It's so clean, but it's so dirty at the same time. We got got a very, very short clip. It's this K-guard armbar. Esdras Jr. hits a very fast, a very sneaky armbar from the K-guard. Let's roll this clip. Take a look at that. So goes for the K-guard entry. His opponent puts his hand in. Boom!
Ooh, yeah.
Tap.
Nice.
I went on fire. Man, I think you have to play that again just to take another look at it. Corey, you love this position. What do you think about that?
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite techniques from this position. I'm nowhere this clean with it, but it's kind of you bait them in there by threatening the back or the leg, and as soon as they throw that arm in, the armbar is so clean.
So the guy on top, you think he just made a mistake? He posted his hand exactly where Esdras wanted it, giving him the armbar, right? But at the same time, it's that combination of opportunity plus, sort of planning, right? Because he's forcing that position.
Exactly. If you don't throw the hand in, you might be giving up a leg or a back and tap either way.
Huh. Nice. Well, beautiful. And if you're wondering what the hell is the K-guard, we do actually have a pretty good article on the website all about the K-guard. Right, Corey?
Check that article out. We break down some stuff from Lachlan, some stuff from Tommy Langaker, who are two of the front runners as far as K-guard goes.
I'll be honest. I mean, I was familiar with what the position looked like. However, I don't really remember hearing the name K-guard with any great frequency up until Lachlan took the bronze medal at the ADCC Absolute Division. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I remember him using it at ADCC to enter into the legs and then win by heel hook. But I don't really remember anybody saying K-guard before that.
Well, it's very similar to Tommy Langaker's Keymaster position, right? And I think it's essentially a version of K-guard. There are different sort of subtle changes. So I knew the Keymaster guard for a while, and it's, that's been an established position, but K-guard is just another instantiation of that.
Another label. What do you think, Corey? When was the first time you really heard the word K-guard being bounced around?
I think when Lachlan made it immensely popular, you couldn't avoid it afterwards, especially maybe in the lighter, more leg lock happy weight classes and gyms. But then obviously I think the first instance where I fully understood it was watching Tommy explain it to Mikey on one of our Who's Number One podcasts.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Right at the beginning of the lockdown when they were Tommy in Norway and Mikey in Vegas and us in the middle, and they were talking about it live on the podcast, right?
That was cool. Just breaking down technique remotely thousands of miles apart from each other. That was fun.
Via the magic of the interwebs. All right, moving on. So this is a little bit of an interesting one, and this is kind of something that I've just noticed again and again and again recently. And, we've talked a lot in the past, and, you've seen these list articles all over the internet. 10 celebrities who practice jiu-jitsu. 10 Hollywood A-listers who have been training Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And there are a bunch of them, right? You've got guys like, Tom Hardy and Henry Cavill, and you got, Demi Lovato, the singer. You've got guys like Joel Kinnaman, who's in Suicide Squad, and even Dave Mustaine, the lead singer guitarist of Megadeth. It's like they're legitimately very, very famous people who are invested in jiu-jitsu. They genuinely like it, they train it, and they're about that life, which is awesome. It's really, really cool. But I've noticed a growing trend, and there's like tons of these sort of internet famous people who are famous for doing stuff on the internet, but they're not established like an entertainer, like an actor, like a musician, right?
Influencers.
Influencers.
The word you're looking for.
That is the word I'm looking for. And thank you for clarifying that. Some of these guys, you may be like, I've never heard of that person. All right. But 3.7 million people who follow them on Instagram and another 2.79 million who follow them on YouTube have. And, it's interesting that you've got, we highlighted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 influencers who are...
Come on, Russell Brand's more than an influencer. He's pretty big.
He's gone full circle to the influencer
You downgraded him to influencer.
Yeah, I have.
That's harsh, man. That's harsh.
But I highlighted 5 influencers, who are active on Instagram and YouTube, and total, they have over 11 million YouTube subscribers. That is a shit ton of people who they are now creating content which is helping these people connect to jiu-jitsu. Let's play a video here because I just collected some clips from some of these guys. This here is a big guy with the hat on, is Bradley Martin. He is a bodybuilder. He's got a massive following in the fitness community. And right here you can see that he's training at Gracie Tarzana with Edwin Najmi. That's Edwin's gym there in California. And Bradley's, brand new white belt, and he's just gone to learn some jiu-jitsu, to get thrown around a little bit and just get the feeling for what even, being a strong dude, like what jiu-jitsu can do. And like I said, he's got almost 4 million people following him on Instagram. He's got almost 3 million people following him on YouTube. That's a lot of people that he's helping spread the word to, right?
Yeah, it's great. I think it's really only a positive thing to get jiu-jitsu in front of more people. That's part of our mission here at Flow, right?
Man, can you imagine the DAS choke from those biceps?
No thanks. I'll pass on that. But I think it's awesome. I mean, I know there are some detractors out there that think going mainstream might hurt the legitimacy of jiu-jitsu in some ways or whatever, but
more people doing jiu-jitsu is not a bad thing.
I think so, and I think there's always the fail-safe of competition, right? As long as jiu-jitsu is inherently competitive and competition is ingrained in the sport, it will remain legit, right? And you can argue till you're blue in the face about the right kind of competition and rules for competition. That's a separate discussion. But as long as we're testing ourselves, it doesn't really matter how hard certain people train, or it's not the same for everyone, basically, but more is good.
I think that it's interesting as well that the 3 influencers we've highlighted here are all from the fitness community as well. These 2 guys here. On the bottom, you got world's strongest man, Martin, I hope I say this right, Martin Lickis. He's Eastern European. And he's training with a guy called Juji Mufu, who is known as the anabolic acrobat. It's just the guy who does this insane feats of strength and is incredibly strong. Just before that, the girl in the blue gi you saw is Demi Bagmi, who is a former cheerleader, and she's now turned like a fitness vlogger as well. You've probably seen videos of her on Instagram just doing flips all up and down the beach in San Diego and stuff. She's a tumbler and stuff. So these are people who have massive followings. Like I said, they've got tons of people who are interested in healthy lifestyle. They're interested in activities. They're interested in putting their body to good use. And of course, going to the gym and pumping iron and looking good can be fun. But sometimes you think, man, what would it be like to just wrestle somebody? You know what I mean?
I think about that all the time. That's why I'm here.
And these guys, they had that curiosity. They went, they tried it out, they vlogged it, and they're helping expose the greatness of jiu-jitsu to massive audiences. Personally, I like it, man. And you know what? Maybe it is a flash in the pan. Maybe these guys, they try it out and they never go back. I know that some of these guys have invested. Like there's a guy called I'm going to get his name wrong. I think it's Nassim, who trains, who was in that video with Bradley Martin, and he's a natural bodybuilder, and he's now, I think, purple belt.
Wow, cool.
So he kind of started off just like a lot of these fitness guys do, and then he slowly got into it.
That's everybody. Everybody doesn't know how long they're going to commit to jiu-jitsu when they start. They say, I'm curious, I'll try it, and some people stick around, a lot don't, but that's the nature of the game.
Indeed. And, it's kind of cool as well because these guys have obviously got the biggest social media followings, but they're not the only people out there to kind of, spread that word, right? We've talked a lot about the ambassadors in jiu-jitsu. And of course, the biggest names are, Joe Rogan and Jocko Willink. But it's kind of cool because there are more out there doing that work, just maybe in a more subtle way. And one of my favorites was Ronnie Ching, right? The stand-up comedian. He's got that Netflix special, and just right in the middle of it, he drops like a casual reference to like an omoplata, right?
Yeah. It always makes me happy if I see him pop up on our Instagram comments. I'm like, nice.
Yeah. Ronnie, he follows FloGrappling, man, and he's a legit blue belt. He trained a lot at Marcelo's when Marcelo's is open in New York. So it's always nice when we see a celebrity and they're one of us, right?
Yeah, it's cool. It's also kind of fun to see people that are so good in their primary, vocation.
Vocation,
yeah. What I'm looking for, kind of struggle and try something new. I mean, as a white and blue belt, you're still kind of figuring out your bearings. I mean, I'm still figuring them out as a brown belt, but
man, Russell Brand
brings
said
him down to
exactly
earth,
that.
right?
Russell Brand said exactly that. He's like he's been practicing jiu-jitsu since 2016. And he's a blue belt. He's probably be a blue belt for a while now, and he still considers himself like a brand new beginner kind of thing, right? So it's just like you say.
There you go.
Cool. All right, moving on. So, dude, there's some crazy news out of Brazil, actually, and this is one of those kind of human interest stories, you know? Not a lot of jiu-jitsu in this story, but definitely connected. Victor Honorio. So you maybe know him as, you know, the ultra heavyweight competitor from GF Team, European champion, Brazilian national champion, ACB champion. Guy's a badass. What you maybe don't know is that his father is also a black belt. He runs a gym called the CT Honorio in Recreio, which is part of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. And Honorio Sr., who I believe is only 56 years old, just underwent this absolutely groundbreaking, just crazy surgical procedure very recently. He had a triple organ transplant. Heart, liver, and kidneys.
All at the same time?
All at the same time.
Wow.
This is the first time that this surgical procedure has ever been done in Brazil. And, wow, I mean, it's phenomenal. We've got a photo, actually, of the Honorio Sr. with his son.
Okay, I was a little bit worried when you say, I've got a photo here. I'm like, what are we gonna pull up?
No, that is Victor on bottom there. You can see him just chilling out. He is he's a big dude. He's a phenomenal athlete, and obviously it runs in the family because his dad, Jose, it seems that he was training jiu-jitsu right up until just a couple of days before he was scheduled to have his surgery.
Wow.
And then within a day or a couple of days of coming out of the theater, he's there on like an exercise bike in his hospital room.
Theater?
Operating theater.
Operating theater, okay.
Yeah, operating room.
Never heard it called that before.
Oh, okay. Yeah. After coming out of the operating
I
room,
was like, that sounds like a different kind of procedure here.
he's there on an exercise bike in his hospital room. Just, you know, slowly getting back into it.
Slowly. Quickly, sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a while before you see him do jiu-jitsu again, but just a crazy story, it really is.
That's wild.
Yeah, if you go to Victor's Instagram, you can actually see there's like a report from Brazilian TV. It's in Portuguese, but it's worth checking out because you can kind of, you know, it shows a little bit about the procedure took 11 hours and there were over 20 doctors working on him all at the same time. 7 surgeons.
Jeez.
Yeah,
I'm
mind
glad
blowing.
it went well. I'm glad that went well.
Shall we talk about what's coming up?
Let's do it. What's coming up?
Well, first of all, there's Fight to Win 171 this weekend, April 24th in Miami, Florida. Corey, you're going to be on the ground for this one. Wagner Hocha versus William Tackett in the main event. You excited?
Yeah, I lucked out on this one. We were supposed to see it earlier in January, I think, but luckily it got delayed, and I will get to see it firsthand in Miami. So this matchup, I can't wait for this. Wagner is always up for a challenge, and Tackett is looking to hunt down the very best of them. Wagner will be no different. I'm expecting fireworks for this match. The whole card looks stacked. We have Gabby McComb and Tubby Aliquin, which I think is another postponed match from earlier on in the year. Just insane main event, insane co-main.
Chase, I'm interested to get your thoughts on this one.
Well, I think
Wagner versus William Tackett.
I definitely share Corey's sentiment. You know, it's an awesome matchup. Wagner's number 1 ranked 185 no-gi grappler in the world. William Tackett right there at number 3. So that could be on the line. I think the decisiveness of the victory obviously sort of affects the way these rankings move.
True.
And if it's a very tight match where no clear winner, maybe it won't change. But you could conceivably say that the number 1 spot is up for grabs here, potentially.
Depends on the results, right?
Depends on how it goes.
Yeah.
But I think both those competitors will take that mindset into the match and feel that way. It puts a little extra pressure, a little more on the line. Both guys don't know how to be anything besides exciting and high intensity, high action. So I'm looking forward to it. You know, it's a battle of generations. Wagner has already faced off against Cody Steele,
right,
Williams' teammate, and a very gritty match as well. So I'm very curious. I think William Tackett has all the skills in the world to be one of the best ever out of the U.S. in a couple of years. You know, maybe not yet, but Wagner,
he's on the track.
He's on the track, right? And he's really putting himself in the right places to do that. But this is a massive test in Wagner Rocha.
Yeah.
Can't be phased. And I think after coming off of a match with Gordon, it's all downhill for Wagner here in the sense where every match is a little bit less on the line. Like you've already.
Well, that's what happens
Yeah.
when you're number one ranked
Yeah.
as well, because you're now going to have to defend your position against all comers. And Williams made no secret about how he is exclusively trying to set up matches with either people who are ranked, right there or above him. He doesn't want to be defending his position against up and comers. He's like, no. He's like, I'm going after the number one spot. And if the number one spot's not available, I want to go after bigger, heavier guys in the next division up or the next division above that. And he's looked really good the last couple of months as well. He's got some big wins. He obviously had a submission win against Felipe Andrew not too long ago, the end of 2020. He had a pretty impressive showing against Victor Hugo, not that long ago, and Victor's gigantic,
Yeah.
6'3", 265 pounds. And, we've talked a lot about Williams' talents and exactly as you said, his potential as well. He definitely has the skills, and he's doing the right things to put him right there. His submission win over Hibamar very recently as well, I think, should let anybody know that he's a threat, that he can not just go out there and make it physical, make it athletic, make it gritty, that he can finish people too. And I think for what William wants to try and prove, Wagner is like the ultimate test. Because like you said, Wagner is so resilient, he is so gritty, he's like so hard to phase him. And you talked about pressure. Well, of course, Wagner is fighting in his pretty much hometown, right? He's from Hollywood, Florida, just outside of Miami. He's going to be there in front of his hometown crowd.
The Fight Sports Network will all be there,
The,
right?
the Fight Sports family is huge. They come out in support. Like, there's probably going to be maybe 2 people cheering for William Tackett, and that'll be his cornerman.
They'll be outnumbered.
Everybody's going to be there for Wagner, and Wagner feeds off that. He loves that energy. He loves putting on a show, and of course, he loves proving, I can take on those young kids as well, because he's the veteran here, right? So
Yeah, and he clawed his way to that number one spot. I feel like all of 2019 and 2020, he was chipping away at the rankings. Have I done enough?
Yeah.
Give me another match then. I want that number one spot. Give me another match, and he just kept clawing his way there, finally earned it, and I think he's ready to defend. So.
You know what I love as well is like it's not like Wagner got there and then took his foot off the gas.
It's like Gordon Ryan.
It's like he gets to the number one spot in the 185 ranking, and then he's like, no, I still got more to prove. I'm not just going to prove that I was a ranked 77 kilogram fighter. I'm going to prove that I'm also legit at 185. I'm going to prove that I'm going to number one in the 185. Now I'm going to prove that I can go head to head with the number one pound for pound ranked grappler in the world. Okay, that's out the way with. Now I'm going to prove why I'm the number one ranked 185 guy. I'm going to take on those young kids. So
Stay busy. I like that.
Yeah, it's awesome. But that's coming up April 24th, this weekend, Fight to Win 171. As you mentioned, Corey, got Gabby McComb, Tubby Aliquin, and Junior Ocasio versus Taniel DeJesus as well. That's going to be this Saturday, right?
Yes.
Yes, there we go. And then the other big upcoming event, you may have heard about it. Who's number one?
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Of course, we have Craig Jones versus Tyro Tolo in the main event. Really, really fun matchup there. I think you guys have heard a lot about that one, though. Rafael Lovato Jr. taking on Gilbert Burns in the co-main. Personally, that's my favorite match tonight. I love watching these guys, these two legends go at it. I think
You're excited for that one, aren't you?
I really, really am.
Yeah.
I get good vibes from it. Both guys are coming from a very healthy place of competition. They're like, you know what? Done the MMA thing for a long time. That's a whole nother level of pressure and anxiety and stress, and also, that's my career. This is fun for me. I can't wait to show off my jiu-jitsu, show off in front of my longtime friends and family, and just have like a good time, but also really test myself. So I just get good vibes from the match. It's going to be fun. Nikki Ryan's taking on PJ Barch. Really interesting matchup there. PJ coming off of a huge performance at ECI. 4 submission wins to take the title there.
Never looked better, man. That was phenomenal. What a performance that was.
100%. Corey, you were out there. For fans that missed PJ's run at ECI, or Emerald City Invitational, excuse me. What should they make of that?
He was just, he was on a different level. He was so energetic. He was coming out. He was showing his wrestling game, which is phenomenal, his passing game. And let's not forget, he submitted all 4 of his opponents. So 4 matches, 4 submissions, and every single one of his submissions happened in a quicker time than the previous one.
Picking up momentum as he went, man.
That's right.
Laser focus, absolute laser focus in that tournament. And I love to see it because, you know, he's going to have to be firing on all cylinders to take on Nicky Ryan.
Right, we've been talking about this. So one thing that's interesting about Nicky Ryan is that you could argue we haven't seen his progression as an athlete for almost a year, right? He had a really quick win in October where he had the heel hook win.
We didn't learn much from that.
No, I mean, Tony Ramos isn't really a jiu-jitsu guy. So
Nope.
he got heel hooked in 30 seconds, and we said, okay, we knew that. We knew Nicky Ryan was good at heel hooks. So it's been almost a full year since he had an extended period on the mats in competition. And we know from the training footage and from reports on the ground that he has really evolved as an athlete.
Dude, this is scary. So the word is that Nicky Ryan, his wrestling is now something serious. It's like, it's formidable is the word. It's like he moves really well, apparently. And
so does PJ, though. That's why it's awesome.
PJ's got the pedigree as a wrestler. Whereas Nicky, I mean, remember, it wasn't that long ago, ADCC 2019, there were videos of him talking about how much he hated wrestling.
That's true. That's true.
How much it sucked and how much he didn't like it compared to jiu-jitsu. But it's always been a weak link in his game. So maybe this is time now that we see a different Nicky Ryan. We see a Nicky Ryan who's developing those weak areas because he knows, hey, PJ Barch is going to test me in those places. I better be prepared for it.
Yeah, no, it's gonna. That's definitely, I think, a fan favorite matchup. Looking forward to kind of the curveballs we may see from Nicky. I feel like we know what to expect from PJ, which is forward fighting, a lot of intensity, and just very opportunistic, right? He'll jump on whatever. It doesn't matter. If there's an opening, he's going to try and chase it down aggressively.
He's unpredictable like that as well. That's a great thing, is that he's got a very hard to define game. It's not like he's a stylist in one area or a specialist. It's like you say, he'll take whatever is given to him, and whether that's an upper body, lower body finish, doesn't matter what it is. I like that a lot. Of course, man, I'm just super excited for the main event. Craig Jones versus Tyro Tolo. Really, Craig doesn't take himself too seriously, right? Anybody who follows on Instagram can attest to that. He makes a lot of jokes, but I mean, I think you have to be very, very clear here that he is taking this match very seriously indeed, because Tyro Tolo is going to come and try and take his head off. Like, there's absolutely no doubt about it that Craig has a lot to lose in this match, and yes, he's a little bit bigger, not that much bigger than you might think. Ty is growing so fast still. Ty is a big guy now, you know. He's growing, getting thicker, and just, he's not the little kid that maybe you remember. Certainly not ever able to go anywhere near the 66 kilo division again, ADCC, like he did a couple of years ago. But Craig has a lot to lose because, you know, he's 29 years old. He's going up against an 18-year-old, and he makes jokes about how, you know, he's fighting women and kids and stuff like that. But Ty could dart him to sleep if he makes one mistake.
Yeah, Ty's an incredible grappler with limitless potential, right? He can do, I think, great things in his sport, already has. I think Craig may have a little bit of chip on his shoulder beneath that friendly demeanor, right? You know, I don't think he takes the promotional aspect too seriously, but he does take the results very seriously in his performances. And I think he wants to win. I mean, all athletes do, but I think he wants to make a point saying, no, you're in my world now. We're having fun in games. We can promote this together and have a good time, but I want to sub you in a minute. You know, I feel like that's the attitude he has beneath the surface level Speedo and stuff like that, cheetah shorts.
Great point. Let's wrap this up. So, with all the talk about influencers and stuff, I just want to get your quick opinions. If you could pick one influencer to do a grappling match, who would it be? Like, you get to pick a grappler and you get to pick an influencer and you put them together.
Okay. So wait, I get to pick the professional grappler
and you get to pick the influencer that they grapple with.
Okay. Well, I want to. That's a tough question.
Corey, any ideas?
Put me on the spot.
Yeah, I am. That's the point.
I want Wagner Rocha to train with Russell Brand.
Okay.
Sorry, Russell.
That would be a fruity one.
A what one?
A fruity one.
I don't know.
Russell Brand's pretty fruity, you know.
Okay.
He'd make things weird. Corey, any suggestions?
Give me Juji Mufu and Nicky Rod.
Juji Mufu and Nicky Rod. I like that one. Personally, I'm going to go for Jake or Logan Paul. I don't care which one. Both at the same time, preferably, against Craig Jones or Gordon Ryan. Or both. Tag team match. Even better. There we go.
There we go.
Book it. Next big pay-per-view event. The Paul brothers, Jake and Logan Paul, against Gordon and Craig.
Do I hear who's number one?
No taps allowed.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching another episode of Grappling Bulletin. I'm going to cut us off before it gets even stranger. We'll see you next week.